With the final episode of Demon Slayer being confirmed as a 1-hour special, as it has a 70-minute time slot next week, so if we remove commercials, that's going to be about 50 to 55 minutes, especially given how episode 1 had a 60-minute time slot and it was, like 45 minutes? So we're going out on a bang. This season, all things considered, is basically like a 15-episode Demon Slayer season, and what I think is going to be fight of the season, with the taste we've already gotten with Mitsuri versus Upper 4, this season's going out on a bang. We'll have characterization, fleshing out characters such as Mitsuri, probably Upper 4 backstory, and just the insanity of this fight and how it's broke off. I mean, this is Demon Slayer at its absolute best if you ask me, and I'm here for the final stretch. Now, full live reaction to this insane episode is available on my Patreon. If you do want to see my full link up thoughts, you can head on over there and consider supporting if you're interested. Now, this fight was great from what we saw. Now, Mitsuri, I think everyone's been excited, and this season slowly teasing her weapon. I mean, the idea of a sword that's also a whip is just a recipe for amazement. I mean, let's be honest here. But to see it in execution, and even after understanding how the sword works, when you see the slow motion and how she's carving this snake being apart, after previous episodes establishing how almost rock hard of scales, wood, whatever you want to call this beast is, it's pretty damn impressive. And I love the fact that, Demon Slayer, what it's always done a great job at is mixing backstory, whether with the Demon Slayers, whether with the demons they're fighting, into the middle of an action sequence. And it never really feels like it breaks the flow, and I think the way they handled her backstory was really well done, because what ends up happening is, well, she assumes this is the demon I gotta kill, not knowing about Stuart Little running off in the distance. So she gets blasted by this concussion blast of death, and she pretty much is passed out. And then we get the first part of her backstory before, obviously, the gang all pushes her away and says, like, she's basically our light in the darkness, and, like, she's gonna be the one to protect us, and the key to doing this, so of course they're gonna give their lives if necessary to protect her. And given the backstory about how generic man doesn't want to marry her because of pink hair, I mean, yeah, she definitely has had a life of feeling like she doesn't fit in to obviously having her place here. And then when it came to the last bit, especially with seeing her as a child, no muscles at surface level, but can out arm wrestle a sumo wrestler, and also even confirming why she has that insane appetite. Like, it just felt like the perfect placement of the backstory as they continued the fight, and seriously, with knowing that it is an extra long episode next week, I mean, I have complete faith that it's going out on a bang. Now, I knew about the extra length episode walking into this episode, but had I not, I probably would be really worried knowing that episode 11 is the final, because there's no way 20 minutes you could resolve not only the fight, but have any sort of epilogue or characterization for the demon or her. It would feel like a rushed mess. But honestly, the way they blended, whether it's Mutro's backstory, Genya's backstory, hell, in the middle of this episode, they casually reveal why he's able to do the superhuman things he does. Now, this has been a heavy topic of debate whenever Genya was doing things, but they kind of just ignored it for a while, and, it's Demon Slayer, I guess we'll get back to it eventually, and yeah, they casually do. So we see him start, biting into it. At first, I didn't think he was eating it. I thought he was just trying to, use his razor-sharp teeth to rip the thing apart. Turns out, if he eats demon's flesh, he inherits the abilities of said demon, and the stronger the demon, the more he'll inherit. And as we see afterwards, he literally rips a tree from its roots to toss at Stuart Little Demon Edition. And honestly, that explains a hell of a lot, whether it's tooth regrowing or just the number of times at the beginning of the season when how many times did we look at him, said, yep, that's his death flag, that's not even death flag, he's dead there, and then he walks it off like he's a demon. Yeah, this totally explains everything, and I'm glad they casually reveal it. Now, obviously, Tanjiro will probably have a different reaction when maybe, all said and done, if they get out of this alive. But in terms of him thinking about it in the middle of it, obviously it's the perfect way to drop that info without it feeling like a way too heavy info dump or anything like that. And I think the idea of teamwork is really interesting here, because this doesn't feel like one person is enough to deal with this by themselves, right? We literally are seeing everyone, Nezuko, Genya, Tanjiro, they are all rushing to try to destroy and kill the little demon that is a coward and running away, feeling like all his life he's done nothing wrong to deserve that hatred. Something I've always complimented about Demon Slayer. Love the fact that demons, they aren't just generic evil for the sake of being generic evil. Now, some might be psychopaths, but many will look at what they're doing as, you guys are in the wrong. And I like the fact that from their point of view, they aren't the villains more often than not. As then you have our girl Mitsuri, who is basically dealing with my favorite demon I've seen in this show. Basically, we have my favorite weapon I've seen in Demon Slayer versus my favorite demon that I've seen in Demon Slayer. This is a recipe for absolute success, and the taste they gave us in this episode, and knowing that we have the time next week to keep the battle going at a steady enough pace, it's going to be insane. Like, literally establishing how hard those, like, dragon-like heads were, to see her cut through it like it's just meat. She's just casually slicing and dicing, and even though she makes a couple of mistakes not knowing that that wasn't the main demon, and then honestly, had they not pushed her away, her head would have been paste. She would have been headless 100%. But the idea of the teamwork and working together, I'm just imagining the possibility. I mean, I'm still worried. I'm always worried that someone's gonna die in any given arc, especially after Mugen Train, man. Like, Mugen Train messed with me. So if they all manage to get out of this situation alive, I can't wait to see what Muzan would say. Because if we rewind to the previous season and their victory, he looked at it as the demon was, he put himself at a disadvantage. Having your sibling with you or whatever he said, that's the reason. Like, we don't have to worry. But if they manage to come out of this not killing one but two uppers and no demon slayers die, this man's gonna be beyond pissed, and I don't know what type of revenge someone as crazy scary as Muzan might do to them, but that's kind of exciting. The way Ufotable is using the 3D, especially with characters just running up and down giant serpent-like beasts, it blends so well, and it just feels like this is why I love this season. I love last season, I love season 1, but it does feel like for me, my enjoyment continues to just get higher and higher. And I love the fact that it really feels like when you look at Demon Slayer, it easily could just be this cash out anime where it sells like hotcakes. You can put in the bare minimum and you're probably gonna pop off, right? But instead, we get those extra long episodes at the start of a season or at the end of the season, and all these moments where you just feel like, wow, I really got to understand why Genya became the way he is, or why Muchiro became the way he is. Throwing in some Mitsuri backstory, but making it feel like everything in present day just feels like it matters so much more as we learn about them at the proper and steady pace. And little moments like, why the hell is she always so hungry, or why the hell does this man look like a demon? They always get answered at the appropriate moments, seemingly, and I really like what they're doing with this season, and obviously why I'm so hyped for the next season, which we know will be coming, and I mean, it'll probably get announced well before the last episode drops, but either way, you know this is getting a full adaptation, and I'm here for it. But let me know what you thought of this episode down below. Do you think this is going to be one of your favorite, if not your favorite fights when it's all said and done? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more Demon Slayer on the channel, and as I mentioned, full live reaction to this wonderful episode is available on my Patreon. And while you're there, you'll also get a video shoutout like Dylan Miles, Jornis Pierre, Jose, Fernando, and Brett Itzka. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.